of the URI Foundation Teaching Excellence Award, Professor Jennifer Jones of the Department of English. I must say this is now 5 years of being involved in these awards. Every year has been terrific. And every year we've managed to surprise the recipients of the awards, but never have I seen an individual more stunned by the appearance of the president of the university and her department chair, Professor Trim, in the hallway outside her classroom than Professor Jones, who is renowned across the university for her brilliance as a teacher, for her passion as a scholar, and as a great exemplar of what the University of Rhode Island holds as its highest standard. And that standard is the teacher-scholar devoted simultaneously to excellence, both in uncovering knowledge and also in sharing that knowledge with, in this case, her students. Jennifer.
Good afternoon. Am I heard? Mm-hmm. Allow me to begin with gratitude. I thank President Dooley for his introduction and also for the delightful visit he made to my English 486 classroom last month to announce this award and be the first to celebrate its honors with me and my students. I thank President Michael Smith and the URI Foundation for its commitment to the University of Rhode Island and its annual recognition of excellence that epitomizes its own mission in concert with our university. I thank Caroline Call, Chair of the Excellence Award Committee, as well as all of the members of that committee for the work they have done to make this day possible. I thank Dean of Arts and Sciences, Winnie Brownell, Associate Deans Trish Morikoff and Bob Bullock, and my colleagues in the English department and across the college for the support, collegiality, and inspiration that create the conditions of possibility for attaining to the excellence we are gathered to celebrate this afternoon. I thank my undergraduate and graduate students. Some of you completed papers as recently as 2 days ago. Some of you have long graduated. With some of you, I have worked for the first time in the spring, others over the course of several years. Thank you, my students, for the exquisite and profound part each of you plays in my scholarly life here. Allow me to begin as well with congratulations to my fellow award recipients. I am deeply proud to be able to share this afternoon with each of you gathered here today. I would like to begin my brief address by turning to the origin of the word excellence. If we look back at the history of this word, we learn that it is defined not only as a state of exaltation, but also through its connection to kindness. Excellence entered the English language late in the 14th century when a vernacular was just beginning to form. Its earliest usages occur in the Wycliffe Bible, which was the first attempt to translate the Bible from the church-sanctioned language of Latin into an English vernacular, and in the poetry of Geoffrey Chaucer, whom we call the father of English literature precisely because Chaucer wrote in English, what we now refer to as Middle English, rather than in French, which was the established language of the court. The most obvious definition of the word excellence is the state or fact of excelling, the possession chiefly of good qualities in an eminent or unusual degree, surpassing merit, skill, virtue, worth, dignity, and eminence. Bearing that in mind, I'd like to turn to another definition of the word circulating also in this period, which is the following: an excellent action, a kindness. In the case, for example, of Chaucer's poem, The Legend of Good Women, the word excellence gets used as an action word. I'll share one poetic line that exemplifies this idea of excellence as action, first in Middle English. You that done me this excellence. And now in translation, you who showed to me all this excellence. Words spoken to Theseus, son of Aegeus, king of Athens, to Ariadne, daughter of Minos, king of Crete, in response to Ariadne's offer to assist on behalf of Theseus's quite endangered life. I can go some distance toward describing what matters most to me as an educator by pausing on this definition of the word excellence, this rendering of it, not as a descriptive word for actions taken, but as an action word in itself, specifically acts of kindness. Kindness has a long history in our language, appearing in Old English in the 9th century, first in King Alfred's translation of Boethius's Latin treatise, The Consolation of Philosophy. First and foremost, the word kind refers to one's nature, specifically what is natural to one by birth. Thus, kindness has long referred to such things we moderns associate with the word: goodwill, favor, friendship, affection, compassion, not in the abstract, but specifically as those concepts are tied to class and what can seem like its natural inclinations, tendencies, dispositions, and aptitudes. It may seem that the American experiment overthrew the determining relationship between excellence and kindness, so that we no longer assume it is exclusively the province of inherited privilege to be gracious, good, and wise. Yet I would suggest every generation faces the legacy of this relationship and must struggle with how to redefine and improve upon the entanglement of these concepts. Institutions of higher education have traditionally been and remain on the forefront of fostering this important work. Each one of us here today has been a student. Each one of us has therefore had to contend with the vision of ourselves we inherit from the complex interplay of forces to which we were born and in which we were first formed. Sometimes what we inherit are positive images of ourselves. Among other things, we might be fortunate enough to inherit an ear for what we sometimes refer to as a calling, a sense of purpose, something after which we may choose to strive with the hope of attaining to excellence. Sometimes we do not get born into a position that makes it easy to conceive of, let alone hear a calling. Attending university stands to transform each one of us. We find mentors at university that are gathered together specifically to serve that end. One recent example in my own classroom includes a student rising up to the occasion of reciting 77 lines of a complex romantic ode beautifully and by heart. Another is an insightful journal entry in which a student explored what he took to be a resonance of a line in a popular 1970s song from Floyd, to Samuel Taylor Coleridge's Rime of the Ancient Mariner, first published in 1798, which led to an outstanding historical research project. Such moments are the outcome of mentorship, and they also foster it through the rewards of intellectual relationship, community, and self-realization. Mentorship also happens at less predictable moments, as when a student chances to run into a professor at a coffee shop and has occasion to discuss the value of becoming bilingual, or by chance is the provost at a university event and gets the benefit of his conversation and perspective about a public issue, or makes plans to meet a peer at the library and finds ways to help each student to excel on an assignment. Such encounters as these that I witness at URI foster excellence as an action word by raising everyone in the community up to the potentiality of aspiring to it. I strive to make my classroom a place where students not only gain insight into the influence of the forces that have shaped them, including through the study of historical literature, but also learn to intellectualize this insight. I strive to teach students to recognize that seeking after and attaining to excellence is the outcome of hard-earned practices, openness, attentiveness, risk-taking, perseverance, and the grace of goodwill among many persons and perspectives, among many different types of talent and skill sets. I strive to teach students to recognize that they have the power to engage in these practices and to flourish. Universities, and particularly great public institutions such as the University of Rhode Island, do not exist to reinforce preconceptions we inherit regarding our initial worths. They exist so that we can think and rethink what excellence means and how we can rise up to it individually and collectively in ways that retain kindness, but yet also thoroughly remake what kindness is in the image of social and political justice, defined as the overlapping voices of many perspectives, none of which are supremely valuable to any given person or judge, but which together affect what I take a university to be: ongoing, disciplined conversation and contestation over what is true and right and good. I want my students to emerge from my classes as persons who understand what it means to master a discipline such as English literature, and who imagine themselves as contributing vibrantly to the world in which they learn and live. The very best chance for this to become the case is for each student to learn how to approach cultural history, historical literature, his or her peers, me, the degree of respect that mirrors the sense of self-respect they feel on behalf of themselves. As one of my own teachers has recently said, take the measure of, take the pleasure and pride in what an astonishing being you are. However much education or money you do or do not have, however well or badly treated, you are a finely wrought, irreplaceable, brilliant achievement of eons and eons of transformation in vibrant matter. Excellence attains to its own best form when it imagines itself as a transformative for everyone involved, not merely as a form of exception that removes itself from the world around. Thus, for me, to be an excellent teacher-scholar means to be one who trains students to recognize the brilliance within themselves, to model for students that if there is one birthright worth defending, it is to cherish themselves and each other, and to take an active role in the way we can and do transform ourselves and one another in the name of kindness and in the spirit of an excellence that is inclusive, elastic, and intelligent.
Thank you very much, Jennifer. I don't suppose you'd be willing to send me a copy of that. If you would, I would really appreciate it. It's my pleasure to introduce to you now Jim Patel.